My name is Nancy Larson. For 35 years, I worked as a research physicist at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And when I retired, I decided to write down some of the stories, things that happened to me as a woman in that decidedly male world. So today I want to tell you some of those stories. I've always been very good at mathematics, so I started my college career as a math major, but I soon learned that physics was where the math was fun. So for graduate school, I switched into physics. Even in school, the ratio of men to women in physics was something like 20 to 1. When I started working at Oak Ridge in 1972, the ratio of men to women in physics was 20 to 1. And when I retired in 2008, the ratio of men to women, at least in my field, was 20 to 1. Nothing had changed. I think it's better in other fields, but in neutron physics, it was still 20 to 1. It took time for the men to recognize that I was their equal. Some of them never got the idea. Early on, I was auditing a class in advanced physics, along with several of my male colleagues, and somebody asked me, was I working on a PhD? I asked why I needed to do that, because the one I had earned several years earlier had not yet expired. I'm not sure he ever got the message. Another time I was in a meeting with 3 men and me. I was there as the expert on mathematical transforms. About halfway through the meeting, an elderly gentleman wandered into the room, eavesdropped for a few minutes, and then interrupted in order to explain to me what a transform was. I gave him a one-word answer, "Oh," and then we went back to our conversation. The informality at Oak Ridge worked against people like me. No one was ever Dr. Smith. He was Smith or John. Now this worked fine for the young man who had a master's degree. He was assumed to have a PhD. But the young woman who had a PhD was assumed to maybe have a bachelor's degree. There was one seminar at which one of my colleagues put up a list of names of the 20 or so research physicists in our group, and everyone was listed by last name only, except for 3 of us. The father and son, who had the same first initial, were both listed by both first and last name. Dwayne Larson was listed as Larson, and Nancy Larson was listed as Nancy. He did not even give me the courtesy of a last name. When email became prevalent, and you could put a signature line that showed up on all of your emails, everyone was putting their title there. So of course I did too. And about that time, I got a letter from a famous German physicist. Now this was someone I had known for 20 years. We had met each other several times at conferences and meetings. We had corresponded quite often. We had reviewed each other's papers. I thought we knew each other fairly well. Let me read you part of what he wrote. "I notice your PhD with due respect, nay, boundless admiration. Is it new? I always had the suspicion that you are a thinking being. Now it is officially certified. Congratulations." Well, after I calmed down, probably 2 or 3 days later, I sent him what I hope was a polite reply. I said, "Thank you for the kind words. They are appreciated even though they are 25 years late." Travel was always interesting. Whether foreign or domestic, I knew that somewhere along the line, I would be the victim of mistaken identity. I would be the secretary. After all, I'm the only woman in the room. I must be the secretary. Or I would be the wife of whoever I happened to be standing next to at the time. I wish I could tell you the story of my 100 husbands, but that would take much too long for now. So I will end my story here. I hope that young women scientists today have a very different story to tell. I hope that you will be accepted more readily by your male colleagues, that they will give you the respect you are due. I fully expect, however, that somewhere along the line, hopefully not too often, you will be assumed to be a secretary or a wife. And I hope you take that with a grain of salt. Correct the person with a little bit of humor if you can. And if it comes to that, if you were the only woman in the room, learn to enjoy it. I know I did. Thank you.